Okay, so the Windows-based studios, there are two studios which is known as the Framework Manager and the Transformer. The Framework Manager is known as the heart of Cognos. It is a metadata modeling tool. Now, what is a metadata modeling tool? Whenever we capture the data from the database, it is having some set of relationships, some set of cardinalities defined, some set of data types defined. But in the actual Cognos, we might require more number of columns, a different set of cardinalities, a different set of joins between tables. So all that metadata modeling is done in Framework Manager. That's why it says the heart. It requires the maximum time and the maximum effort and the knowledge of the complete business and the reporting side to understand and work on Framework Manager. So that's why we'll be covering it at the last of our slides. We'll be covering the Report Studio first. We'll be going on to Query, Event Analysis, Workspace Advanced. Then we'll be going to the Framework Manager. Okay, so that's like the main place where the people, they create packages to be used by Report Studio, Analysis Studio, Query Studio, Event Studio, Workspace Advanced, or Transformer to create reports or data or cubes. So that's what Framework Manager does. Now, coming over to Transformer. Transformer is nothing but a cube generation studio. I'll refresh and tell you what is that as well. Okay, now what is the cube? Normally we are working on data warehouse, and data warehouse is like a collection of huge amount of data into a set of tables, and they're all linked together. So whenever we want to make a small report, or whenever you want to make, there are certain kind of reports which are being demanded every month or every week by the business, and we require a small set of data for that report particular. And like, let's suppose we require the sales figures for every year or every month for a particular region has to be given to the client. So by looking at, by creating a report on the complete data warehouse, it'll take a lot of time to drill down to that data because there are trillions and trillions of records. And in data warehouse BI tools or data warehouse projects, we are normally using databases which can range from GBs to petabytes, not even terabytes, there are petabytes as well. So you are like talking in terms of trillions of records, which is very difficult to drill down and difficult to capture data out of those. So what we do is we create cubes. Cubes are nothing but a sliced section of the data warehouse, which is a static data which we generate using a transformer, and we put that cube, we use those cubes to generate reports. What will that do is that the reports will be faster, they'll be working on a small set of required data only, and that will be helping you to generate the report faster and in an efficient manner. Now that is done by using transformer. Now what is refresh? Now let's suppose we want the sales figures for every month for a particular region, America. So we generated the cube using the sales figures for the complete year 2014 for America. Using that particular cube, we were able to generate the sales figures for Jan, Feb, March, April, and all that months for 2014 for America. Now it is 2016, so we need to refresh our cube to add the new set of data into the cube so that we can get the data for 2016 as well. So what we do is either we drop down the previous data and add the current data, or we just update the cube with the current data and refresh and republish the package or republish the cube so that it is being available to the Report Studio, Analysis Studio for further analysis and report making. That is what is known as refreshing of a cube. Okay, so we have covered web-based and window-based, or both the suites. Now let us move ahead to how does Cognos works. What is the Cognos architecture and how does Cognos data flows and how does it work? Okay, so we can see over here, I believe, if you are able to see clearly, that's the basic architecture of a Cognos system, wherein you have your web-based and your Windows-based interfaces or suites, which are collectively known as the IBM Cognos BI user interfaces, and which are connected to a web server which has the web services and the gateways, like the Cognos is being installed and being configured on different gateways like Apache for Apache servers, your IS API for the Windows based servers which are using IS, which is very fast and very easy to configure with that. You have CGI, which is the common gateway interface service. So on different gateways IBM Cognos can be configured, and when it's configured, it you know communicates with the web-based and the Windows-based interfaces using a web-based service, which is further, connected to the IBM Cognos main server. The IBM Cognos main server contains the BI application tier components and has the dispatcher and the content manager. Okay. Now, the third layer, which is further connected from the server, are the data layer. Now, I'll just tell you what is the data layer, what is the application, what is the web server, and the BI interfaces. Let's just exit this and let's come over here. Okay, so the first layer that we said was the IBM, the web-based, the Windows-based application. This is also known as the presentation or the web layer, where you have the report studio, the analysis studio, the query studio, the framework manager, and all that stuff, which is connected via firewall, router, encryption, or whatever it is in the middle network to a web server, which is this one. The web server then connects to a IBM Cognos server. I believe they have skipped the web server over here, but it's the web tier, which is the gateway, which is this one, which is connecting to the IBM Cognos servers, which is this one. So the web server just contains the gateways controls, which helps you to connect to the report studio and the Cognos server and authenticates the users prior hand before connecting to the Cognos server. After coming to the Cognos server, we have certain kind of dispatchers. What does the dispatcher do? A dispatcher is kind of a service which connects from the web service to the the different services of the Cognos, and like a content store dispatcher will always dispatch services from the report studio to the content store to the database, and so on. So dispatchers are kind of these services which connect between different services of the Cognos software. And coming to the data tier, what we have over here, we have a content store, an IBM Cognos content store. The IBM Cognos content store is the inbuilt database of Cognos, and that database does not contain the data. This database contains the metadata for the actual reports that are being created in Cognos, the encryption data, the logon credentials, the security credentials, and all other data which is being used in Cognos to create reports is being stored over here. That is the IBM Cognos Content Store, which is being managed by the IBM Cognos Content Manager. This is also a Windows-based, application which manages the contents towards the content store and even connects to the SQL server and other stuff as well. So to the databases as well using a data connection. So that's one part. Then we have the OLAP or the data source, which is like a SQL server, a flat file, an Oracle or Teradata or SAP or a PO or whatever databases we have. Those are also connected using the IBM servers. So those databases and the content store lie in the data tier. The IBM Cognos server lies in the application tier. The web server or the web services lie in the Cognos gateway. The presentation, you can always say it contains the there's like a mix of web server plus the reporting studios like the studio tools and all that stuff. I hope I was able to explain all this properly.